Well, hi everybody, and it's Kevin, and welcome to Cavalcade of Food.
Hi everybody, I'm Ralph, I'm behind the camera.
And so, Ralph, this is something that I've been trying to work into our videos for this year, is sort of what we're calling a vintage appliance tour.
Oh,
okay.
Well,
so our last one was a old 1950s Hamilton Beach mixer.
And this one's going to be
a close look at it.
A Whirlpool microwave.
This is not really vintage.
What is it?
But let's look under the microwave and here. And a lot of people comment, and I've had so many questions asked about this stove.
And so much admiration for this design.
And you know, as our regular viewers know, we switch the stove out at the cottage every spring. That's just sort of one of our traditions that we do, the stove exchange at the cottage. And we love doing that, and we'll continue to do that. Now here in our city kitchen, we don't change the stoves that often because honestly it's a real pain to change the stoves in and out of here because we don't have all the easy
access
in and outs that we do at the cottage. So I've had other stoves in this kitchen over the years, but this one has been here for a few years now, and as far as I'm concerned, it can stay because I really love it. So this is a Westinghouse Terrace top stove range, I should say.
What year did you say?
This was manufactured in 1963. So the idea of this range was that there's about 2 inches difference between the top tier and the bottom tier. And it was designed so that Westinghouse looked at the average height of the American housewife, which was like 5 feet, 3 or whatever, plus 4 or whatever it was. And they determined that it was easier for the woman using the stove to sort of stir, and tend to pots that were a little bit lower than the normal range top. So that's why they dropped the front. Things that just were sort of on the back burner simmering away that didn't need any attention went on the back.
Oh.
Okay? So this is what you had, because this back height is more the typical height of a range. But it's the front one that's lower. So you didn't have to have your arms lifted as high. It was easy to see, and you could just hear, and you could stir your ingredients, very easily. So that's why.
It's also like a little backsplash.
Well, you do have that, yeah. The only thing, the bad part of this is if you have a really large pot, which we don't use very often, you've got this in the way.
Oh, yeah.
When it's one flat surface, it doesn't matter. But this, you've got this ledge here, this wall, so it does sort of hamper putting really large pots on, but that really isn't an issue for the kind of things that we do here.
It's an interesting
on this
design.
stove.
There's even a ridge along here to keep things, I guess, if they
drip
off.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. That, as you can see, it's slightly raised all through here. Same on the bottom, slightly raised. That's your drip edge, so if you have a boil over, things don't run down the stove. Another interesting design feature of this Westinghouse Terrace top is that it was really designed to look like a built-in appliance, custom. So it's 30 inches wide from side to side, but on a normal range, this, again, you wouldn't have the lowered front 2 burners. You see this whole chrome piece here, and it fits perfectly. This opening is exactly 30 inches, but it fits so flush to the countertop that when you stand back, it really looks as though it was built into the cabinets. And that was the idea. So,
what else can you say about the surface or the front?
Well, you've got, of course, you have a fluorescent light on the front. This button right here turns it off and turns it on. You have a clock with a buzzer, so if you want a timer, you set it for 45 minutes and it goes off. This is also a timed cooking feature. You saw that on a lot of appliances ranges at the time. You could set it so that the oven would come on at a certain hour and go off at a certain hour. Okay, so you could put your dish in the oven and have it go off and on.
Got it.
Okay,
cool.
And it worked, by the way. All these things work. The clock keeps perfect time. And let's come down here. So here's your two back 6-inch burners. There's only one 8-inch burner on this range. This is something that I use because sometimes we have a glass coffee pot that we put on there, so it doesn't come in direct contact with the coils. By the way, the coils themselves are what we call a plug-in, plug-out. Okay? So they're very easy to come out, very easy to clean the drip pans and things like that. Then they just plug in. It has the wattage on here. It says Westinghouse 1600. And then this big one is a Westinghouse 2600.
I like how you do the old sweet Boucher trick of putting tinfoil around the drip pans.
Well, you know what? It just makes it easier to clean. Mm-hmm. That's all. So let's come down here. We've got these knobs. By the way, I don't know if you can see. It says left, right, oven, left, right. So the knobs here, also an interesting feature, they're on the side. They're not up here on the backsplash or on the front. They're on the side of the stove.
Never noticed that before.
And so what they did is, that's why the burners are a little closer together than on a normal stove, because on a normal stove you don't have the controls here, you have them back here. But every time you turn a burner on, this pilot light on the left comes on to tell you that one of the surface units are on. So right now the right unit is on.
So it's an indicator light.
Absolutely. By the way, there's a vent for the oven, and it is under here. So whenever the oven is on, you can always feel a little heat coming off of that burner. Down here is your oven control. When you turn the oven on, the right indicator signal light comes on, and it goes off as soon as the oven reaches the desired temperature. Oh. So if you set it at 350, it'll come on. It will go off when the oven gets to 350 to let you know it's preheated, and then it goes off and on as the electricity cycles through to maintain the temperature. Exactly. It also has a grounded appliance outlet here, so you could plug in a coffee pot or a toaster or a mixer. It's nice because it gives us an extra plug in the kitchen, and we don't have to worry about blowing a fuse.
Ooh, très moderne.
So here's the top, okay? And then let's take a look at the oven itself. So it's a full-size oven, of course, standard 30-inch oven. Not self-cleaning, by the way. Westinghouse had these racks, which actually, let me leave this one in here because I keep my oven thermometer on that rack. Westinghouse had this rack system where you had so many variations of how you could set the racks in the oven. You see all these brackets here, mm-hmm. Ralph, on the side, and then you could either put it in this way, or you flipped it and put it in this way, and so you had about options. 10 or 12 different positions. Let me see if I got this right, of how you could adjust your racks inside the oven. The burner here, the oven burner, plugs in and plugs out for cleaning. The oven actually lifts off completely. This is an easy oven to clean because I can lift the door completely off and get in there and wipe the oven down and then put the door back on. And then, last but not least, we have our storage drawer here underneath for, I keep cutting boards and different baking sheet pans down there of various sizes. It's not as deep as most storage drawers are because, again, we lost a couple inches. Remember, see, this is lower, so the oven is lower, so the storage is narrower. That's where you really lose the height, is down here on the storage drawer. But this is the 1963 Westinghouse Terrace top. It's been a great range, a real pleasure to cook on.
One of the things I've learned from you and all this exploration of stoves and ovens is that ovens keep different temperatures. They're not always as accurate as you would think they would. At least I would assume that they would all be accurate. So how does this one compare? Is it does it hold its temperature?
Pretty much. It's about 15 degrees off. It runs 15 degrees fast.
Oh, wow.
So if you set it for 350, it's generally around 365. This is why I use an oven temperature thermometer in there. And so you know what? We just dial back this a little bit and make sure we maintain the I could adjust the knob. I've never done so. There's adjustments you can make
to calibrate
it. I haven't done that. I just use the thermometer, and then I know for sure what my oven temperature is.
Okay.
But I will tell you that the gauge of metal that this stove is manufactured in is heavy, and the enamel coating, this white enamel, is heavy. This was a very well-made stove manufactured in Mansfield, Ohio, by Westinghouse Electric, 1963.
So it can take a lot.
And, here we are, 54 years later, and this stove is still performing beautifully.
Not to mention looking pretty.
And every time people come over, who have never been here before, they always see this stove, and everybody always wants to know about it because they've not seen one like this before, and it's so unique. Westinghouse made this stove for a number of years. I don't know that they were as popular as their traditional, conventional ranges were, but they came in different colors and that. So this one is pretty in your basic white, but it was a stove that was always well cared for, and we certainly cherish it. So thanks for being a part of this Cavalcade of Food appliance tour. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time right here
on Cavalcade of Food.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.